This is going to be a short one, but it's Christmas Eve day, which is like as almost as holidays as you can get. It's like the second most holidays you can get, and the holidays means I'm allowed to be a slacker. So, short one it is. But what I want to talk about is a brand of faux intellectualism that is both entirely unbelievable and yet somehow people fall for it. So specifically what I'm talking about is people, and I have two very quick examples to mind, those being Katt Williams and Lopez, who claim intellectualism through the amount they read, right? And those are two absolutely egregious examples. I'm sure there's other examples that are maybe not so blatant, but people who basically follow the line of, I read a lot and that makes me really smart. And usually they don't say the second part exclusively, but that's the heavy implication, right? It's like, oh, I read a ton of books, so really I'm pretty much a genius. Like, I'm pretty much just a brilliant person, right? And it's just so crap on so many levels. The first of which is you don't read a book every single day. You don't. You're not doing that. Right? Like, Lopez, I read a book every single day. No, the fuck you don't. You might skim through a book every single day. You might read the title and maybe like the inside of the front cover or the back of the book that gives you like the summary every single day. And you're not getting anything out of that, right? Even if you were to read a book every single day, which is possible. I've read books in a single day. It's happened, I'm sure. And there's many people who are much more avid readers than I am. It would be like the whole thing you're doing. You would be spending, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of your day minimum every single day reading. You would be like the greatest literature consumer in the history of mankind. You would be a one-man encyclopedia. Like you'd literally be Rain Man, right? And I'm not saying that can't happen. Maybe there's somebody out there that's done it, but you're not doing that, and then walking around and doing like a regular job and interacting with people normally. Like, that would eat up so much of the person that you are, and I also don't think you're sustaining that over a lifetime unless you're literally doing nothing else. Like, you would be locked in a room reading for your whole life. It's just you're not doing it. Okay, that's the whole point. And it almost isn't even a point worth making because, no shit, Katt Williams is not reading 3,000 books a year. I think we all know that, or at least I thought we all knew that. I thought we all agreed on that. But apparently, some people hear that and they're like, oh yeah, no, it makes sense. It doesn't. Here's the two axes that I take issue with that along. Alright, the first is that when somebody says something like that, where they just make some outlandish claim about, their personal achievement, I guess, like that, immediately one of two things is happening, both of which piss me off. The first is that you're just lying to me. You know that you don't read a book every single day, and you're just lying to me about what you do for no reason. It doesn't make me think any more of you. I'm like, the lie is there to delude those you feel that are dumber than you into having a higher opinion of you. It's bullshit, right? It's personally insulting that you would think I would fall for that, and then beyond falling for it, that you think that would raise my opinion of you. So that's number one. Don't lie to me. And if you do, make it believable. And number two is maybe you're not lying. You're just genuinely delusional or an idiot. You think you read a book a day, or you do the skim through a book a day, and genuinely you believe in your own head, you're like, I am a genius. I'm smarter than like everybody else. And I just read that book, and I read a book every single day. I actually read like 3,000 a year. And in that case, I actually dislike you a lot less, because people are allowed to be delusional. People are allowed to be, stupid. But my opinion of your intellect is not positively affected, is what I'll say. Because then you're not intellectually on par with like the rest of humanity and just intentionally trying to deceive me and therefore lowering yourself on a moral ground. You're just at a point where you are so divorced from the reality that we both live in that I can't even have like a person-to-person conversation with you. So I think my opinion of you isn't like that much worsened, but at least like as, I don't know, a dude, but my ability to interact with you is heavily affected. Either way, I'm not your biggest fan. So those are the ways that I don't like it in terms of what it does for how I judge a person if they immediately come out with something outlandish like that. And the second one, the second part of it that I take issue with is it doesn't even make sense to say the parallel that you're drawing very subtly, not so subtly, is, oh yeah, I read all of this much. Arrow, right arrow. I'm really smart. Those two things do not connect necessarily. I would imagine there's some like very basic level of correlation between like you read some books and you have some level of intelligence. Like I'm sure there's an R squared of like 0.2 or something, right? Like a very gradual, a very minimal fit. I don't think it's totally unrelated, but it's not like it's not a linear relationship, which is how some people seem to treat it. It's not like, oh yeah, one book read equals 1 point of IQ. That's not how shit works. If anything, I would say there's a very sharp point at which it's a totally, it's a very diminishing return, right? I worded that poorly, but if you read a book a month and you give yourself time to digest and really work through the material and understand what you're observing and try to build it into your framework of the world around you, I think that's very positive, and I think that helps you understand the world around you better, and you can conflate that with intelligence. But if you're just beating yourself over the head with literature every day, just a full book every day, there's no absorbing that's happening. There's no reflection. There's no intro or extrospection. I don't even know if extrospection is a word. Maybe I should read more books, but you're losing the entire benefit that you're supposedly giving yourself through all of this information accrual, right? So it's just so absurd to me that people see this as a sort of linear relationship. It would be like the best athlete is whoever can do the most sit-ups every day. And like, yeah, I guess there's a correlation, but if you do 10,000 sit-ups a day, at some point, aren't you just like tearing your abs apart? Aren't you shortening your lifespan? Like, the analogy is falling apart a little bit, but it's just almost juvenile to just be like, yep, it's just a straight line up and to the right. Or it's reversed for me, but just a straight line up and to the right of just, I read a book, I get smarter. I read a book, I get smarter. Okay, well, let me think about this. I read 3,000 books a year, and now I'm the smartest person on the planet. No, man, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, but the two are not the same. An idiot can read a ton of books, and also an idiot can read a ton of either books that are idiotic or good books, useful books, intelligent books, for lack of a better word, that you just get absolutely nothing out of, right? You can put the Iliad in front of a dog and just flip the pages, and they're not going to get smarter. And that's obviously a very extreme example, but not that much. It's really not that extreme. What matters is what you reflect on, what you understand, what you get out of the reading that you're doing. So I would go as far as to say that if you have one conversation a month that is genuinely involved and invigorating, and you have to change your perceptions and think a little bit, and you reflect on it, and you take it to heart, and you build it into your framework of the reality in which you live, that's far more beneficial to you and your brain than any number of books read at a surface level. And I feel stupid making this video because this feels like things that are entirely obvious, but apparently not. Apparently they're not entirely obvious. So I guess my point, basic as it is that reading is good. Reflection is good. Accrual of information and being able to put yourself in the shoes of different people, which is one of the primary joys that reading allows us to do, are all great things. Reading a book does not raise your IQ by any number of points. And this juvenile idea of I read more than you, I'm smarter, is ridiculous. And we need to stop giving credence to it. I say we, I never have. The onus for this actually lies on you. You gotta pick your shit up. Sorry. You dropped the ball on this one. But I forgive you, don't worry. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. In closing, I would say, go read a book. And not just like flip through it. And you don't have to do it in a day. You could do it over a year if you like. But sink your teeth into it. Really try to get at the core of what it's trying to do. Unless it's like a Judy B. Jones or something, then maybe don't waste your time looking for something that's not there. Maybe just enjoy yourself. Or, go outside. But probably don't like lock yourself in a room and talk to a camera about what people on the internet are pissing you off by doing. That sounds unhealthy. Alright, that's it.